To another week with Bob and Chris. I've spent most of this week, at least two days this week, at a security conference out in Newark. Last week, Chris and I were together down in Nashville.
Yeah.
I know we had an FBI investigator there. I think we talked about it last week, where New York and Los Angeles FBI offices aren't even talking to people unless the breach is over $10 million.
100 million.
$100
100 million. Yeah.
$100 million. So, it's crazy out there. I know Chris and I were just talking, and there's we'll do a little talk about some of the stuff coming up with what we know and what we've seen around the Dish Network breach that happened last month. I think it's 300,000 client records.
They only have 16,000 employees, but somehow lost nearly 300,000 employee records.
Employee records.
Yeah. So they claim none of it was. This is through the breach notification that they released to the state of Maine.
Okay.
They claim that none of it was customer facing. So all I can take from it is they've never deleted an employee record ever in the history of their company.
Well, you never know. Someone might come up and say, I worked there 25 years ago.
Sure. Yeah. But they lost their private information. Then they said that they got in the breach notification, they got confirmation that the data was deleted, and I'm going to air quote that, which means they paid a ransom, which it should come out in their SEC filings eventually, like how much it actually cost them. It'll be interesting to see what that actually costs them.
Yeah, I saw one thing scroll by that said a lot of, they actually did do an SEC filing about the breach already.
But I don't think they talked about the overall cost yet. So I'll dig through the SEC filings. I read those every once in a while for this stuff because it's kind of important. Gives us a little bit more insight into what tactics they are, how much it actually costs them. Like they don't really dive too deeply into it. It'll be interesting what they say. But.
Yeah. So Chris, one of the things at the conference this week, there was one speaker we had up on stage that actually started doing a deeper dive with some of the dark web stuff. I know a lot of people hear about the dark web. No one really ever sees it. A lot of times we talk about it just around, that there's credentials and stuff out there, but it's pretty crazy. Some of the stuff they showed this week, where there's now marketplaces out there where, for $2,000, you can actually ruin somebody's life. And
if you search hard enough, you can do it for $500.
Probably. And
the bottom, guys.
And it was crazy because it was they had the $1,500 recommendation there to ruin somebody's life, or a $500 one just to give them some trouble for a while. And
what was the $500 one? Just give them trouble for a while.
I guess they weren't actually putting the child porn on the person's computer and distributing it. I'm not sure how. So that was actually the documented one where they were actually going to load it up with child porn and then start distributing it from that person's computer and then he's like, oh, I don't know how it got there. So
nothing terrifying about that situation.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then the other piece we had out there was there's you got the ransomware groups out there that they're out there. Are they really launching ransomware? Or are they just trying to pound their chest that they got into somebody's network and not necessarily doing anything bad at this point except grabbing the data?
Well, so we know, I think it depends, right? It depends on what they find. Dish Network clearly admitted that they paid a ransom. It sounds like the city of Dallas is being threatened with their stuff being released. So, Oakland had their stuff released. So I think it really just depends on the target, like what kind of information they get. Maybe they are beating their chest, but you know what? When they say they're going to release the data and then suddenly it goes quiet, makes you wonder how were they really lying or were they telling the truth and got paid? So
anything's possible there these days because we've been teaching people to make sure they've got backups so they're not paying the ransom, and then the ransomware groups are just releasing data that they get out without having.
Well, they also attack the backups.
Yep.
So if you have backups, you better make sure they're offsite and accessible, because if they hit your backups, then you really are in a pickle. We'll just call it a pickle.
A pickle?
Yeah, I have another. I have more words for that, but probably shouldn't say that. So
So, what's the latest numbers you're hearing on the amount of time the bad guys are actually walking around the network doing stuff before people even know it?
a lot quicker than normal. I think the last one I saw was less than 2 weeks. So in bigger hacks with bigger companies where they're trying to get more access to more things, it could extend out, obviously. But
Right.
some of these places, man, they get access to it. They're hitting them hard early.
Okay.
How much can we exfiltrate as fast as possible before we launch the ransomware? Or the ransomware could be a diversion tactic as well. But like, how quickly can we get some stuff exfiltrated? And if you hit a big enough company, they have big internet. They have huge internet pipes. Getting the information out, if you're not properly looking at it, probably wouldn't be that hard.
Well, with so many people moving stuff to the cloud, all those platforms where the data is now has a big fat pipe. So it's not even that
Yeah.
it's the local office anymore. The data is just sitting there and it's just
Or
sucking
a
data.
data center, or a data center where a lot of these places are, if they're not if they're not in a true cloud provider, like they all have big internet pipes. Like, so it's terrifying when you look and they're like Western Digital got hit, and I think it was something like 10 terabytes. How do you just not notice that much data coming out? Like, you should be monitoring at least to understand. Now, if they trickled it out over a course of like a bunch of months, you may not notice it, especially in that big of a network. But if it was in a very quick succession, like if it's within a couple of days, you should probably notice that. But yeah, so like you look at like the businesses that we typically deal with. Obviously, we're not dealing with like Samsung, the city of Dallas, Dish Network, but like the question is like, do you know if somebody's in your network? And if you don't know, how do you prove that they're not?
Exactly.
Do you have the program in place? Do you have a security program in place that's actually designed around detecting and identifying, detecting, responding? If not, it's something to talk about. But I think the thing with Dish Network, the one thing I want to bring up about that is having data on that many employees for that long is always a danger, and we see this a lot with smaller businesses. They just keep stuff forever. They keep information forever that they don't necessarily need to keep forever. And in a situation like this where you get hacked or somebody does something malicious, like it brings more risk to you as a company.
Yeah, but okay, but in their own defense, historically people have kept HR files probably forever at the business, and they're like, okay, it's just it was paper at that point, but now they're sitting there. They don't have a
Yeah.
policy to actually delete it, or they think they shouldn't. They're afraid to delete it.
Well, which
So
is
I thought,
fair, but legally speaking, I mean, speak to an attorney, but like, what is your actual requirement to keep that information?
right,
Like,
I
I
get
mean,
it.
I didn't attend college for like 18 years, and I got an email or I got a letter a few years ago from them that they lost my social security number. I hadn't
I
been there in 18 years. Like, how do you lose that? Why is my information on a laptop that got stolen out of a car?
because
Why?
you are part of the alumni. You're a part of the alumni list now. Look, being solicited for more money from that university, but the university apparently do have as a data custodian has to maintain that data so that they can verify that you ever attended the university.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be on a laptop in a car
No, it
unprotected,
shouldn't. It shouldn't be. You're right.
right? So that's just, obviously that's just bad practice and whatnot. So it's same thing with like this. We rely on so many companies to take care of our data. At what point, like look, Meta just got slapped with a $1.6 billion. What was it, $1.6 billion? The fine they got hit with for data privacy.
It's crazy.
1.3 billion, sorry, for privacy fine. We don't have that here. That's in the European Union. At what point are we going to get those here?
Well, some of that stuff is really coming down the line right now with the FTC safeguards for a lot of businesses that are out there. I just saw that New Jersey Department of Banking has added some new regulations very similar to the FTC safeguards,
Yeah.
where now the audit, but in this case, the auditor is going to, when they do their banking audits, because apparently I didn't know this, but banking auditors can give some place 1 day's notice and say, "We'll be there tomorrow to review everything."
It's going to make it
So
pretty hard to scramble to get your program around in one day.
yeah, right.
Not that anybody does that or anything for auditors.
But so the states are definitely acting more and more on their own. Hopefully, there's going to be
Yeah.
something something more global. And I think that's part of how the FTC is reaching out, trying to put such a broad scope on what they have. And
yeah, but that's tied to people with like doing financial, basically non-banking financial. There's so many companies out there that collect data on us that aren't like all these data brokers, right? That have all this information on us.
Yep.
Where's the fines for them? Right. And it's something that has to be answered at some point.
So,
but
anyway,
yeah, so Dish Network, something to learn from it. Don't keep data forever if you don't have to. Pretty simple. Have a policy in place. Make sure that, because look, paying for 16,000 employees for credit monitoring is one thing. Paying for 300,000 is a little different number. A little different. Who knows if they had cyber insurance at this point? We don't know all the details. Obviously, that stuff hasn't come out, but maybe they had cyber insurance to pay some of it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it's coming out of pocket. But that's kind of expensive.
Data monitoring for 300,000 people. That's a big number.
Especially when your main source of business is dwindling.
True.
I mean, they're in transition. So.
Anyway, I think a great question to throw out there this week is really, guys, if you do you actually have policies in your business for data security, both retention, destruction, incident response plans? If you don't, let's talk.
I mean, a good thing to talk about with that would be over Memorial Weekend, the barbecue on Monday. Talk about incident response plan. I mean, that's what I can do. Oh, maybe that's not what everybody does.
You don't want to do. You're not going to. No. You're not going to do that this weekend. No.
We don't talk about business continuity plans and disaster recovery after the incident response plan on barbecues. No. Okay, weird.
I guess the real message here is, guys, let's go home now. Don't click on anything else this afternoon, and let's call it a day.
Yeah. Except for sending us messages. We're cool with that. You should do that. Absolutely. Sure.
So anyway, have a good weekend, everyone. And
safe weekend. Safe holiday.
Safe holiday. And watch out for those fake emails because they are going to come out this afternoon. We know they're going to be here.
And by the way, before we end, I really want to play checkers right now for some reason.
Oh, you like my checkerboard? Yeah, I'm actually at a client site, and I jumped in their studio to record this today, and
I did. Subliminally, I want to play checkers now. Thank you for this because I don't have a checkerboard, so I guess I'm gonna have to go online and play checkers against people who are just gonna absolutely wreck me. All right.
Okay.